Hello and welcome back to another episode of Bricks and Banter, the Cope & Co podcast. My name's Josh and I've enlisted the help of a few of my colleagues, Sean, Simon and James. How are we, chaps?
Good, thank you, yourself?
All good. Bit nervous, Si?
Not at all. Not at all. Face for radio.
So we're going to be talking about, we're all predominantly listers and negotiators, so we're going to be talking about a few myths and misconceptions of selling and renting, a few stories from back in your day, Si.
Back in the day. Aye, back in the day, my love.
Of end of tenancy and move-ins, and we will start with thoughts on best time to sell and rent. Seasons, months, when do you think's best?
I don't think there's a bad time for rental. Years ago, going back in the dark days when I started, Christmas was always dead. Various parts of the year were very quiet. Now it's just constant, and I don't think there's any real ebbs and flows in the calendar of rentals. Obviously for sales it may be different, but it was generally very quiet come December. January was absolutely manic because everybody has spent a week with each other and decided to split up. So January you probably tripled your figures from marital splits.
After New Year, people who qualify themselves are like split divorce. Divorce.
Got myself on one bed.
Had landlords become tenants. It was carnage. It really was. So in those days, very busy January. Yeah. Very quiet in Christmas, sort of December time. But now it just seems to be an even level playing over the 12 months for the rental.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I think what I found particularly coming towards student season, I think that's when you see the biggest fluctuation, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you look in sort of January, February time, I know people get tied in around now, but traditionally students, being one myself once upon a time, you do leave things last minute. And then it gets to sort of March time maybe, and it's just straight chaos. That's when I think from the private rental market, but the student side, that's when the diary just turns into...
Well, student one's a weird one, isn't it? Because they run July to June, don't they?
Yeah.
But you advertise the properties in November.
Yeah.
Well, they're saying that,
for next year.
Going back to the dark days, it was, January, February, you put them up, you put the properties on. Go back 5 years, you were putting them on December. Now it's October. So virtually they don't actually go on the market.
Keep them live when we rent them out.
I barely did them, but it felt like they were always on.
Yeah.
Constantly on. There was like a month after they moved in and it was straight back to it, wasn't it?
So it tends to be October. They mostly go back on now, and then you see the other agents banging them on. You just need all the agents wait for one agent to put them on, and then they all go. And you see Derby listings go from 600 to 3,000 overnight.
Who's going to be the first? It's like when you're driving around to see who's put their Christmas decks up in November.
That'll be you.
Similar for sales, is it, do you think?
I don't know. I think that with rentals, obviously, like you say, there's just so much demand, isn't there, that there's no real off period. Whereas I think sales is a bit more seasonal. Like you were saying, there's points where people think it's the highs and the lows, and
I think there's one biggest misconception with sales, and it's that spring and summertime are always best because people move for school reasons and the house is in the best lights, got the best curb appeal. But
got to think about that.
Pretty much every school is, you'll know because I've not done it yet, but is it February to April application stage, isn't it? For certain catchments. So
mine are grown up now, so it was one of those where you had to, virtually look a year before for catchments and various things. It has changed, but it got to very busy times in those dates, especially for schools.
Yes, I mean, if you're looking to buy property for the next year, you're going to have to be looking in October to December time. Complete it in 3 to 4 months. So.
Registering your child's place now, I think it's from 2 years onwards, so it's... it's
some of them are around, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, especially around us, because keeping up with demand for primary schools around us is crazy amount of builds that are going up. Just on that about selling and renting, in terms of, because it's a question that we get asked regularly, what should we do before we sell or rent our property out? In terms of decoration, kitchen and bathrooms is the one that is the most common question, and it's, for me, it's pretty much a no. I mean, for rental it's a bit different, isn't it? Because longevity for maintenance, etc., is a bit
Yeah, I mean, gone are the days where it was magnolia wood chip and a bit of cored carpet, and you could get away with most things. And those days are gone.
Well,
it's pretty much like
are
that.
they?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we'd like to think so. So I mean, it seems to be that natural progression now, where it's whitewash walls and laminate flooring, something that lasts.
Neutral.
I think for rental, certainly, landlords don't want to be replacing carpets every year. So laminate's 10-year guarantee, whitewash walls, gets the scuffs and the marks, slap a bit more on, and you're off again. Whereas, back in the dark days again, it was wallpaper and carpets and even in bathrooms and it was
PTSD.
Exactly.
The flashbacks
it's still rare, but
plenty of those.
I think what have I been here 4.5 years, and I think I found like 2 properties. I don't go out as much now, but 2 properties with carpet in it.
Typical
It's still a little
British
bit of a
thing.
shock, isn't it, when you walk in?
Yeah, typical British thing.
Yeah.
But in those respects, I think clean, crisp. I think it works for sales as well, really, doesn't it? But
yeah, I mean, the thing I think to do is if you've got like not necessarily like a out there colour, but if you're going to decorate it in white.
Yeah, I think so. I think
neutral.
Neutral.
I'm seeing a lot more these days. Like the grey is coming in a little bit.
Yeah, I don't mind the grey. The worst one by far is bloody magnolia.
Yeah,
because you can't find. I don't know why these new builders are still doing it. You can't find a bloody match.
No. Well, this is it. I think that's the main reason, especially when I was doing viewings for the letting side. The way you'd the way you'd speak to them about it is that white's fine. Obviously, you can discuss with your landlord if you wanted to decorate yourself. That's fine. But white makes sense because if you inevitably are going to live here for however many years, you're going to mark the wall. You're going to scuff it. It's so easy to go down the shop and buy yourself a can of white.
Yep.
So otherwise, what you're doing is you're getting into the territory of if it might be a lovely colour, but if you can't find that colour match 4 years down the line when you're moving out, and then you're calling up and saying, "Where's my deposit?" and it's you're creating issues down the line, aren't you? So although it can be a bit clinical at times, actually financially in the long run for tenants, it actually makes sense, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And also, if they've got like furnishings against walls and stuff, and it's like it leave marks.
Yeah, and you see, I'm all a great fan for these accent colours and feature walls, the dark blues, the dark greens. But again, you're getting tenants saying, "Can we decorate this feature wall?" But putting it back to its original, it takes 2 or 3 undercoats and then the original.
I mean, that's not just rental, because we've had people that have commented on the decoration and the cost it would be. I know it doesn't make a massive difference when you think about buying a house, but it opens up a conversation that people need to put more money into it, and then it's...
Yeah, agreed, it does.
We've had people with vendors go back to neutral, haven't we? Because they just obviously weren't sure it was putting people off or...
Yeah.
You'll never please everybody.
Well, you can't, and that's what you say.
I think it's like when you take a picture of things, when you take a picture of properties, you don't want... So with any picture, you don't want a hell of a lot going on. I mean, there's a lot of like these like... This was COVID trend. This was when they started doing all these like trigonometry bloody art.
Oh yeah.
On all different colours, and it's like you take a picture of a room. It's like what is going on? There's about 16 colours on the wall.
Yeah,
it's mental.
It's a bit. I think it taints like, especially the feedback I get on viewings is you can't always tell the size of a room.
No, you can't.
When those things are involved, because it just completely contorts the...
You always get a comment on good wallpaper as well, don't you?
Yeah.
Them rogue ones that people have got. That'll be coming down.
Unicorn.
Side topic, best wallpaper you've seen.
Oh, gosh.
Go.
There's one just pings into my head, and it was I won't say the property address, but the one that we sold in Chellaston. Yeah, is that what you were going to say? Was it like raccoons
there
or?
was a second bedroom. So there was a young couple bought a 3-bed.
Lovely couple.
They were using the second bedroom as a like a cinema room. They had like meerkat wallpaper. Honestly, it was talking bloody viewing every time we went round.
Yeah,
it was honestly amazing.
Some people loved it. Some people said it's coming down. But
yeah,
like I say, you can't please everyone. But that's what you say about like kitchens and stuff. When you were saying, is it worth obviously getting a new kitchen? Is it worth getting a new bathroom?
It's like the improvement works question, isn't it? Like, okay, how much would it be worth if I did X, Y, and Z? It's like, well, I don't know because I don't know what spec you're going to do it to. And secondly, like, is it if he's not going to give you a return of like 1.5 times at least, there's not really much point in doing it, is there?
And if you do it, someone might not like it.
You go around and value a 3-bed out at $750, and they say, "Oh, I'll replace the kitchen." You can get what, 25 quid, 50 quid more.
And you can't. Sorry, you can't even say, well, it'll let quicker or the demand will be greater. The demand's there, and it will let us quick. So most landlords let it roll.
Yeah.
But I was thinking more on the sales side, because like we've said, if someone was to put the money in to do the kitchen how they like it, the next person that comes out to view it might not have the same
No,
I mean,
say
the
the same.
kitchen is at that point where it's obviously you go into a property, you're never going to see the same kitchen because it's so bespoke and personal that a white high gloss kitchen that you're going to put in, people might hate it, and they're going to change it anyway. So there's just no point in doing that.
Yeah, I suppose it's weighing up what's actually worth changing if you are going to go onto the market, isn't it? And if it's actually beneficial.
But there are a lot of people who come around and see, like another point we're going to talk about furnishings, and a lot of people who go and view properties want to buy things with furniture in.
Yeah.
So that is you can do that. Obviously, you don't get. We've done it quite a few times because people might not want the same dining room table or the same sofa to go to the next house, and also it saves on removal costs, doesn't it?
100%.
Appliances is always quite a big one, isn't it? Because people tend to leave them there just for the hassle. But yeah, I think more so, wasn't it the case that years back, furnished apartments and stuff for rental was...
That
was a lot more
always got
in, wasn't it? Yeah.
You always got an uplift of your rent, especially on your furnished properties, as long as they're compliant by safety regs. You always uplifted most apartments by 100, 150.
Do you think it's that common now? It's not
No,
much
but
of a
that's what I mean.
difference,
I've
is it?
seen it
I
dying
think most
off.
apartments are still furnished, but you won't get that uplift.
No.
Is it 'cause
and
of
after
the
they got rid of the...
Demand's so high.
And responsibility, isn't it? Don't you have to take more?
It is. It's
so
compliance
it's like
as well.
for like, isn't it? If they leave it in there, it's a like replacement if anything goes wrong. And
Yeah, and
Suppose
landlords
it's-
used to get the tax deductions because they were leaving it furnished. So they used to get that back. They got rid of that
Exemption,
now.
yeah, they got
the
rid of it,
exemption on that. So in terms of whether it's worth leaving, no, because
Doesn't
your
really
liability is
benefit
still
them,
there.
yeah.
So you don't get that uplift of rent. But going back, sorry, James, on wallpaper, I remember probably not long after I'd started at Professional Properties, I went to part of a stately home, and it was like an annex sort of coach house. And I went there, and she was showing me around. And she opened this grand room and decided to say, well, there was one wall that was wallpapered in this 18th century antique wallpaper. Nice. And in those days, you could, you took your deposit, but she said each strip of the wallpaper was £6,000.
Wow.
And that was going back. That was going back in 1999. It was like this jungle theme, but it had obviously been part of this wall
made from real jungle.
So I'm trying to add up how many, how many strips. So I added it up to about 40,000 on one wall.
That is absolutely outrageous.
And you expected a tenant to move in here, and I'm thinking, well, how much deposit can you take? I'm thinking, well,
not 40,000.
It's not going to cover one strip, let alone the wall. I just remember that one vividly, thinking, oh dear, I really don't want to rent this one.
Have we got a photo of that?
If you have, you can think.
No.
I feel like afterwards we should post them so everyone can see the ones that we're talking about.
I don't think cameras have been invented by then.
But I just remember draw a picture.
I just remember this mental picture of it sat there with these jungle themes. It's £6,000 a strip.
That's crazy.
And I'm thinking, wow. Yeah, said you can't get it anymore. Obviously,
that's like that. Do you know that? Have you seen that Lamborghini wallpaper?
No.
So it's like obviously the Lamborghini stuff are all like hexagons and like different colours, different shapes rather. So it's like, I can't remember how much it is. I have to have a look. Yeah, it's this Lamborghini.
Was it actually Lamborghini?
Oh, legit, honestly, yeah. So like in certain areas it says like Lamborghini on it.
You just wouldn't,
like hexagons.
Can you remember the other one? I think you went to the property as well that we had in Alfreton, and they had like cladded wallpaper. And it was it was like a dance floor. It looked like the floor of a nightclub with the sparkly little.
It was PVC stuff.
Yeah, it was basically UPVC.
Oh right, yeah.
Honestly, it was so bad. It was live,
and it was glued to the wall to help for insulation purposes to get the UPC up.
It was black. It
looked like a dance floor on the walls. It was the first time I've ever seen it. I was gobsmacked.
It does open your eyes, doesn't it, to certain things. I mean, I've been in places where they've had the wall as like it's not a wallpaper as such, it's like a blackboard almost, and you can draw on it in the kids' room, and they've just been allowed to do the decoration themselves. I mean, you'd rather them do that than actually onto the wall. You see
I do quite like that idea.
That's a good idea, yeah.
But yeah, it's very that's really
you walk in some very interesting things.
You might have to get one of them. James taught Theo how to draw on the whiteboard yesterday.
All of
the information we're putting on whiteboards, and Theo's coming and scribbling it all out. Brilliant.
Yeah, I think quite a common one I see, I used to see, especially in lettings, is stickers. and they're a nightmare.
Oh, those vinyls like Live, Laugh, Love.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah,
mate, honestly,
yeah,
I hate them.
yeah,
You can't
yeah.
stand them.
And kids' rooms like little unicorn stickers or the superheroes and stuff. And then you're showing people around, and it's a great talking point. So you're trying to open up a conversation. You know, you can sort of build a bit of rapport with people through that sort of stuff. But then they're looking at you going, is that going to be removed? And you honestly don't know the answer.
No.
And you're thinking, like, you've got your 18-year-old son moving into a Captain America themed room. It's not going to do much for them, is it?
That's quite a good, that leads us on well, actually, because you'll have an abundance of these, but we've got a couple on the end of tenancy and moving stories that we've got.
End of
I've got quite a few. Do you want to start? Have you got one?
I've not got one. I probably will have. I just can't think of one just on the spot. I don't go out as much now, so...
No, true, you don't, to be fair.
Where do you want to start? Where do you want to start?
Pick a number between 1 and 10.
This is your time to
your-
shine.
This is why he's on the pod. This is what he does.
Back in there,
We love this game.
I think moving. Let's do a move. I think the one that sticks in my mind is Chelliston, peeing it down with rain, November, horrible. And I get there early, and she turns up with the furniture, starting to move in. And I can feel something. I look down, and I'm stood in a sea of fleas. Previous tenant obviously had a cat, a dog, or whatever, and it's just literally moving. And I thought it was my eyes, but the carpet was moving. She's got about 3 pieces of furniture, and this is in the day where you actually had to write the inventory out. So I'm writing the inventory out, thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do. She looks down, screams and goes, sort of thing. Don't want to move in anymore. She'd moved in probably half the furniture, and I'd spent at least 2.5 hours there, and she decided it wasn't the house for her and she needed to move out. That vividly sticks in my mind as probably one of my worst move-ins.
What do you do in that position though?
I don't know, dive sort of slightly going off at a tangent. Probably my valuation that sticks in my mind the most would have to be.
Valuations are always good ones.
Oh crikey, where I think the main one that I still think I don't know how I got away with was early days again. Pulled up, it was Chester Green, City Road, 2-bedroom terrace, lashing it down with rain. Always does when I go out. Lashing it down with rain.
Well, your photos are always dead done.
Get me hair wet. I'm in a rush. I'm in a literal rush.
That's got to be years ago.
I park up. It's the last time I'm coming on one of these. First and last time. So I park up and I'm not really looking at the house. Gentleman comes to the door. I get out there. He comes to the door. Elderly gentleman. I said, hello, it's Simon. He said, yes, come on in. I went in. I said, thank you, for inviting me in as you do. And I said, where would you like to start? Well, he said, definitely the bedroom. Can we start upstairs? I get upstairs.
Straight to it.
And there's a lady in bed.
Oh, for God's sake.
So I'm stood there and I'm thinking, right, okay. It then suddenly dawns on me that he's expecting a doctor. And I'm in the wrong house.
Oh my God.
So I've got to find a way of trying to get out of this situation.
I've left my bag in the car. My stethoscope's in the car.
I'm literally stood there with an elderly gent and this lady in the bed. And I said, I think I've got the wrong house. And he went, no, you haven't. No. I said, I have. I'm a valuer. And he looks at me and says, no, it's my wife. I was expecting a doctor. Obviously, I just rushed to the house. It was meant to be next door, and I'd rushed in and I had to promptly try and get out of the...
That's some response on that side.
So that one sticks in my mind. It really does. Move out. Well, it has to be the one where I was booby-trapped. We had to do that sort of eviction style, tenant vacated, and obviously he thought he'd get his own back on me, so I opened the door, and this was in the days where you had to do final inspection on a piece of paper and check them off. Went into the toilet, and I thought the toilet flush is a bit odd, lifted the sink up, lifted the cistern up, flushed the thing, and he turned the siphon to face you.
Oh my God.
So as soon as you flushed it, it exploded all over. So I was trying to stop the water from doing that, and he'd also unscrewed the 2 screws at the bottom of the toilet.
This was the tenant leaving.
Oh, yeah.
What, the lag bolts?
Yeah, and he'd left his waste in it. So as I moved it, the toilet came off, and I'm stood in waste. We'll leave it at that. It let put different parts of wire in. It took the screws out of the window. This was a first floor flat. So when I opened the window came out with me, and it went on, and it just booby trapped the whole flat, and that was going back in the dark days. But that's another one I remember that vividly sticks in my mind. But yeah, I think they're beat that. Go on.
Yeah, three good stories there.
I've got nothing to say.
Speechless.
Okay, yeah. Wow, he spent a lot of time sat there thinking
He booby trapped every room without a question of a doubt. He sat there. He sat there for many hours trying to work out how many things he could do to me.
Yeah.
And I did get away with my life, just about.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I've got nothing quite as bad as that. But when I used to get there at inventory stage, if there'd been sort of an issue between landlord and tenant or whatever it may be, there was one person who'd left rotting fish in the bottom of the oven.
Oh my God, that's disgusting.
And it had been there for a long time. Why no one had bothered moving it, I don't know, but I got stuck with that job. So that was certainly an experience.
It always catches you though, doesn't it? You know, if you open a fridge on an inventory and it's full of mould and whatever's in there, and that stench that hits you.
For a while.
Something different. That isn't it?
I think the ones that hit you, the ones where you just don't know what to do with. Like, when you turn up, you're like, what am I going to do with this? Because I remember when I started, and I was going out with you to do something. I think I went out and must have been 1 or 2 after. You rock up and they've just got up and left basically, and like the rooms are like just chocker, like not like it's not like okay, the sofa laid out, like the rooms are just chocker with crap.
I think
sometimes you can't see the floor, can you?
Some places like, just abandoned. You got a walkway, and then I remember it because you went straight through to the kitchen at the back, and literally everything on the right hand side of the house was just rammed up.
It's a funny one. I've been to a couple where, like you've said, it's almost like they've just left. It's like you're walking into just. It's almost like they're just evaporated because all of their stuff's in there. Like the food's out on the counter, the fridge is full, their clothes are all there.
Yes,
everything.
Yeah, you know what it's like.
It does make you wonder, and obviously,
on like on Avengers when he clicks and everyone just disappears. Literally, just like some people actually do that though, don't they? They just get a call back. They just get a call back, leave the country. That's it. Don't tell anyone.
It is eye opening though, because until you see it for yourself, you almost think you're talking nonsense. But a couple of times I've walked in. There was one recently. I can't remember where we were, but I was sent over to do a viewing, and you know what it's like when you turn up and you just know you're looking at the front garden and it's full of junk, and the view is behind you, and you're just thinking this.
You're praying when you put the key in, don't you?
Please be.
It's better inside than what it is out.
You know, even worse when you try and open the door and there's something behind it. Oh God.
I've opened the door.
Oh no, I've got the wrong keys.
Oh mate,
Door's broke.
Yeah. Got a quick phone call to me, so when you open that door and the smell hits you, and I just pushed the door and the family had just left everything.
Oh my God.
They'd painted the living room walls black, dark black, but not even well. The edges were all over the place. Not that matters because the rest of the house was a mess. But it was easily the most disgusting place I've been, and I tried to get there early, but the viewer had obviously been very courteous and decided to also get there early. So my plan to get there early and assess the situation and then go, I'm really sorry, I don't think we should go in here, had fallen apart because he was on my shoulder.
Lovely.
Safe to say we lasted about 40 seconds in there.
Oh God.
Because the smell was horrendous. And we were gone, so I've actually heard nothing about that since.
I went to one that was actually abandoned. I think instead they didn't paint the walls black, but they didn't quite afford curtains, I don't think, so they put newspaper all over the windows so no one could see taped up newspaper, and I'd never seen that before. I was like, what is going on? Like, I walked up straight away, I was like, this is not going to be good.
You just know, don't you?
Yeah, of course you do.
You rock up and you just know.
You can get a feel. You do get a feel for it after time. I remember there's one person I've moved in not so long ago actually, and it was a Friday afternoon, terrible rain, and my diary was ahead of schedule.
Were you out with him at the same time?
Yeah, it was
raining. What's going on? There's something going on here, isn't there? Just setting the scene, dramatic. It's probably sunshine actually. In my head it was raining. We've got there. It's my last appointment of the day. We're finishing for Beers and Ideas, so I'm obviously looking forward to getting back. I've got there early. I'm thinking, great, I'm ahead of schedule. I'm there an hour early. And the guy that was supposed to be moving in must have been there half an hour before I was there. And I turned up in the pouring rain, and he was sat on a terrace street, one-way street in Burton, with all of his furniture and all of his belongings blocking up the pavement, sat on a kitchen chair, just looking at me, no umbrella up or nothing, with a big smile on his face. And I pulled up and said, "It's a good job I'm early, pal, isn't it? Because he just ordered new mattresses, new everything and everything. By the time it had come through,
His Simba mattresses outside on the rain.
Just looking at me.
Soaking
I was just
wet.
like, boy, he was so happy. I was just thinking, great.
Fantastic.
It's Friday.
Yeah, it's Friday. Yeah, this is
Friday afternoon.
Yeah. Helped him carry everything in. Trying to get that door, that table through the door was a mission.
It is crazy though. The moving day, the process, like the 1 day turnaround, especially with sales. Like
Yeah, some of them are like it's the old
planning
adage,
everything,
like
isn't
failing
it?
to prepare. It's like you're going to prepare to fail. It's because especially for sales, because like you rock up something like obviously you could complete throughout the whole day. So I mean, we had one recently where it was like a 2 o'clock completion, and the person that was buying our vendor who was buying the next one couldn't basically they were going to get the keys, but they couldn't get them because they hadn't moved any of the stuff out of the house yet. So it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Some people are prepped like a week in advance, aren't they?
Yeah.
They have everything done, and then other people just leave it right down to the wire
Well,
sort of
same
thing.
as
but-
like when you go and do images, isn't it? 'Cause I mean, obviously, us three will go and do take obviously a take on to sell or rent a house, and I'll go there thinking, I'm going to be here for half an hour, and I'm there for like an hour moving bloody stuff around.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah, you
I
do.
think more so in lettings. But
Lettings is always hard.
When you turn up for a take on, I mean, obviously we have a rule, don't we? If you turn up and it's in a certain condition, we're not going to waste our time. Not in the sense that we don't want to do it, but in the sense that
It's not going to
it's
actually have a
gonna
detrimental effect.
Yeah,
It's not worth your time,
it's
is
not
it?
reflecting-
Really?
It's not reflecting the property, so really we don't want to put any marketing out there that's not true to the property, and obviously it's not doing the landlord any favours or us.
It's so difficult with lettings as well because of the quick turnaround on one
It
leaving,
is.
one
Yeah,
moving
this is
out.
what I
That
mean.
I mean, what do we
There's-
leave it? Is it
there's
10 calendar days? Is it? No.
Yeah.
Is it,
Yeah,
is
well,
it
that's a
an ideal
minimum.
world?
But like, even if it's just a few little maintenance jobs, and then the photos don't look good because he's still got old kit out or like paint tools, etc. Like you can move the odd bits, but if it's something that's like, say,
Yeah, and I think
bigger
because
works.
we go generally with this 10-day turnaround, because we're going as they're, because obviously they have
As
a
they're
notice
leaving,
in, it's generally a month, they're already finding somewhere or have found somewhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you need to get in,
7 or 8
the
times out of
first
10,
like 7 to 14
you
days,
do.
don't you? Because if you don't, then they're going to be boxes.
and it's fine, which is fine, absolutely nothing wrong with that. But again, it's really difficult to then get the proportions of the room, and you guys know what it's like. You sort of then having to just get what you can as opposed to what you really want, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then you've got to call some landlord saying, why is it not this, why is it not that? Which is obviously entirely understandable, but
domino
sometimes your
effect.
hands are tied in that situation, aren't they?
I think your vendor's a lot more motivated
Yeah,
to
it's-
stage
yeah.
it and present it to the best possible. Whereas if you're going in mid-tenancy or end of tenancy, your tenant's not going to be.
There are some I've been to
sense
where they're just not similar sort to yours. Really, some of them are just really they're not in a great state for whatever reason.
I think
And
also,
it's just not marketable, is it?
I think we have failed to realise how long some tenants have been in the properties. You're starting to look back, and when we're looking at the system for rent reviews or when they do give notice, a lot of them have been in there 7 years plus.
Yeah.
So it is, living in your own home for that amount of time. What needs to be done and what maintenance, very little gets done within that term. So you are battling against it when you try to remarket them.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I think when you're starting to look at those timelines, I mean, having been on viewings myself, when someone's been there 10 or 15 years, you are going to need new carpets, and you are going to need, and like you said, the amount of places I've been where there's like carpet in the bathrooms, and that's always the first comment, because let's be honest,
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing
wrong. It keeps your feet warm enough.
So it's, I mean, inevitably you know that's going to be the situation, but of course then if it's already let by the time that we get there, there's not always a need to do it, is there? It's not always something that's at the forefront of a landlord's mind, I guess.
Okay. Before we end it, I've got another quick one. Best bodge job you've seen? Or DIY? Best DIY job?
Done by a tenant?
Tenant, owner, whatever.
Best bodge job. Oh, man.
There's got to be some out there.
Where do you...
Mate, it just depends, wow.
We need someone from property management for this.
Come
on.
We've seen it. We've seen it.
I think the best ones I've always seen is probably the laminate on top of carpet.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you going in, you're
do the
bouncing
trampoline.
along, thinking something. It's either got great underlay or this laminate something wrong. And I've seen that a couple of times. They've put the laminate on top of the carpet. I think that has to be my one. I think in terms of bodged. No beading. Chuck it on top. Bob's your
It's not even in properly.
Yeah, whatever. It'll last, won't it?
It'll do the job.
Exactly. Fit for purpose. What's wrong with it?
I don't have one. Sorry to let you down, chaps.
I've asked the question.
I feel like I've got quite a few, but I can't think of them right now. But
Yeah, James has kind of gone off script here, hasn't he? Just throw one in.
I think what I've got to say about, I think just touching back on the furnishing side of things.
Yeah.
I think seeing it come from lettings through to sales. For example, I was on a viewing yesterday at one of our lovely properties for sale. Go check it out. The furniture being in there can help quite a lot of the time.
Oh, 100%.
Because proportions, size of the room, and less so when the furnishings aren't particularly not of a great standard but are a bit mismatched. But I think when it's furnished to a good standard, I think it can almost not do your job for you, but it can certainly push
Yeah,
it
the
that
photos you've got are stunning for
because it's
that.
just beautiful.
Like, the way it's set up.
See,
Yeah.
do you find that for rentals as well? Because like the bigger ones, for example,
It
like that
can
one
help.
at what's that one we did yesterday? Church Broughton. We did. I mean that looks like a nice setting, nice house.
It just
But obviously the pictures we've got are empty.
Yeah,
So
you're
I
on
always
about
think if
staging
it's full
it.
and
Yeah.
it's like lit up.
Yeah.
It's nicer to actually
Well,
envision
It's
it.
more realistic, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what I don't like to see is a complete square room with no feature, no focal point, two windows, and you are battling against it because you've got nothing in that
Nothing
room
to
that
go
can
off.
give you any sort of perspective of how you can live in it. So in those terms, furnishing's better, I would say. I mean, you're more than likely, I'm going to get it in sales more than rental, but it can have its disadvantage as well, especially if it's cluttered or oversized furniture. People then can't envisage how they're going to live in it.
Yeah,
I
of
think that goes
course.
for sales already.
Well,
Yeah,
it's got to be staged to.
Yeah, worse when
a
you get
nice
is like if you've got like
standard.
an okay sized bedroom or a good sized bedroom and they've got like a bloody queen or like a super
and
king.
it's just
like,
suffocating the room.
You can't even bloody walk around without going
I know.
sideways. That's the worst thing.
I know.
But no, I agree with what you're saying. Yeah, it's always easier. And the best point now, I think, is, I know this is going to sound really minute, but obviously TVs are all smart TVs, and TV points are now a thing of the past.
Yeah.
So your layouts of your room. I mean, new builds are the worst. I think the way they put these TV points is just so strict. Where they think the media wall should be.
Yeah.
Is complete opposite
Yeah.
around. So your layouts of your room are immediately. You can have multiple layouts.
Yeah.
Bedrooms as well, because TV points used to be in bedrooms all the time, didn't they?
Yeah.
But you can have them whichever layout you want now, because it's all
Yeah.
Wi-Fi and broadband based.
Yeah,
So it's a
all
lot
this
better.
Cat 6 cable and everything coming in, isn't it? I think that's like going to be the next thing coming along. Everyone's sticking media walls in.
I've noticed that actually. We've got a couple that have got like Cat 5 and Cat 6 throughout, haven't we? Usually in on sort of high end stock, but we've got
It's
one
not a bodged job, but it's something we discussed yesterday. Can you remember about the placement of the light bulbs? I think that's quite a valid thing because
fun fact to finish off.
Yeah. So I mean, it's something obviously
I never noticed it.
Yeah,
about it,
but you could look in there and think,
dealing with ex-council houses. Obviously, I mean, from my perspective, I have a different opinion on it, but I always think you get a lot more room in them. Generally, you get a little bit more land. The gardens generally a nicer size. Room sizes are a little bit more generous. Maybe the kitchen's smaller, but you usually get a good couple of reception rooms. Your bedrooms are a lot more of a decent size. Even the box rooms in those houses are really like what they try and sell as a double in a new build.
They are good.
And I was going round and I was speaking to someone on a viewing last week who was an electrician, and he was explaining to me why, if you're in the room, the lights aren't in the centre; they're actually towards the window, which if you've got OCD would really get to you.
Well, I mean, you could think that's a
yeah.
bodged job. Someone's walked in, just put the light
Which is
bulb.
why, but then I was seeing a theme coming along, and obviously then I've asked Simon, who's probably got a better explanation than I do about why that is.
Yeah, why
But
is it?
It sort of blew my
Why is
mind
it?
a little bit.
Well, what I was told, so I'm not taking the credit, was obviously
Simon's idea.
Yeah, I'm blaming someone else. What I was told is obviously the light's near the window. Problem with that is you're further back. People can see you from the outside more.
Yeah.
And so they decided then to move them back to the inside and middle of the room.
Yeah.
That's what I was told. But that's
Never.
Interesting.
There you go.
Do you know what?
Really
I had
they
a
are.
I did look yesterday because we had a couple. We got one on. We sold it. It's on. Chaddesden. What's that rendered one? One in Chad begins. I can't remember what it is now. Begins with W. Can't remember. It's Council House. It's decent size again. But yeah, all the lights are literally like 3-4 foot away from the window, and not noticing until you said yesterday. Yeah.
That's where I picked it up from.
And it really annoys me.
Yeah, it got to me, mate. I thought,
it's the lighting as well. If you're on the other side of the room,
yeah,
I know. Yeah, you have to sit under the window.
You can't put shade on it because
you'll go see out.
You have your room shaded out. Right, I think that's a good point to finish on. Yeah, so thank you all for coming on and sharing stories.
Pleasure.
Some corkers from you, Si.
Yeah. Really enjoyed it.
Star of the show, mate. He was nervous beforehand, but he settled into it quick, didn't he?
Yeah, he settled in.
I think there's two people that you want on this. Si's one of them because he's full of stories, and then I think Chris would be a great one to get on because Chris goes out to all these,
Chris
so he sees.
For everything as
well, Chris comes back every day with the story, doesn't he? Every week.
Stories. Chris has an absolute abundance of them.
Yeah,
well, he's on holiday at the minute. I would have had him down.
Yeah,
thank you so much for watching, and. As I say, episode 3 will be next week, next Friday.
Yeah. I've enjoyed it, lads.
All the best, lads.